say it's the second or fourth order effect.
Okay.
Yeah,
I said,
it's gonna come up. One of the other ones have to take it.
so they won't be left to pick up the glass, but you will. Anyways, we'll see what happens.
I wish so.
Didn't sound like they had the vote.
Welcome to the Sarpy County Board of Equalization meeting. Today's Tuesday, August 13, 2024. It's 3:00 p.m. Anyone wishing to speak either during open public comment or on an agenda item must sign in with the county clerk on the approved sign-in sheet, which is up here by Deb, I think. The sign-in sheet shall be considered a part of the meeting minutes. And then please sit in the reserved seating area if you'd like to speak, just so that we know that you're there and want to come forward. Anyone requesting to speak to the board on a specific agenda item is encouraged to notify the clerk by email ahead of time. There's an email address there prior to the scheduled meeting time. And for additional information, the board rules are noted there. Please silence all cell phones. A copy of the Nebraska Open Meetings Act is located on the north wall of the county boardroom. We have present today Commissioners Kelly, Klug, Warren, Mixon, and Burmeister, along with our county administrator, Bonnie Moore, our county clerk, Deb Hotelling, our county treasurer, Jeff Mikesel, and our deputy county assessor, Jackie. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is there anyone on the sign-in sheet, Deb?
No, there's not.
Okay, perfect. Item number 4 is public comments. We don't have anyone in the sign-in sheet. Did anyone want to come forward for public comments? Seeing none, we'll move on to the consent equalization agenda. These are items of business that are routine, which are expected to be adopted without dissent. Would anyone like to see any items removed from the consent agenda, or if not, a motion to approve?
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Warren, second by Commissioner Klug. Any discussion? Please vote.
Ayes 5, nays none, motion carries.
Item 6.1 is public hearing and action, tax exemption application form 451 for Deep Well, parcel 0104844434 for exemption on real and personal property by qualifying organizations. Dan Pittman, County Assessor, or Jackie Moorhead, Deputy County Assessor.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Did you have any questions regarding the 451?
Any questions for Jackie? Anyone want to make oh, it's a public hearing. Anyone here on behalf of Deep Well that would like to be heard? Or anyone want to be heard on this matter from anywhere? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing, entertain a motion.
Motion.
Second.
I think that was a motion to approve by Commissioner Kelly with a second by Commissioner Klug. Any discussion? Please vote.
Ayes 5, nays none, motion carries.
Item 6.2 is notice of valuation change 456 approval 1, Jackie Moorhead, Deputy Assessor.
Again, did you have any questions regarding the special valuation application?
Questions for Jackie?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Klug, second by Commissioner Kelly. Any discussion?
Did you hit your motion light?
It just
There we
came
go.
up.
Okay, there we go. All right.
Please vote.
Ayes 5, nays none, motion carried.
Item 6.3 is protest hearing, rejection of homestead exemption, Form 458R for Lot 9, Evening View, Daniel Roberts. Is Mr. Roberts present or anyone on behalf of the homeowner? Any of the commissioners have questions for
Yeah, I have a question. That said the rejection was because they didn't fill out the form.
Right. We received a income statement only. We did not receive an application, which is a Form 458. But the income form was filed timely, but it was yet incomplete. So we received that on July 1st of 2024. We did call him that same day we received it. We did not get a response. We called again on the July 3rd and did not get a response. There was no way to leave a message to the applicant, so we sent out a rejection letter. So he had the opportunity to come before the board.
When did you send that out? After the third?
The rejection letter was sent out the 3rd of July.
No response to that either?
I believe he may have called our office confused, or he called the attorney's office. Did he not? Okay. Yeah, right. So.
Okay.
And the portion that you did receive, the income information, does that information, would that qualify him or not?
We wouldn't know.
Okay.
It was not filled out. It was just signed with an email address and date and phone number and his name and other personal information without any income information filled out for any category, so we wouldn't know.
And we've never received that information for this.
No, we have not.
This is a public hearing. Anyone want to be heard? Anyone else want to be heard on this matter? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Any other questions by commissioners?
Yes, I just, I'm trying to understand this form. This one that's filled out, it says certification of disability for homestead exemption. And on that Form 458B that I'm looking at, he said, this applicant does not meet any of the exemptions listed above. So I don't understand, I guess, is that why we're rejecting it besides the timing issues, or?
The only thing that we received was what's called the Schedule 1 of the 458. With that form, they would have to, depending on their category, you would have to fill out the top portion for those people who file income tax, or the lower half, those who do not file income tax, and neither was filled out. The application itself, which gives us the information on what kind of category he would file for, was not submitted at all.
Right, and, well, the one I'm looking at where he signed, I saw the first one that was blank, and then this next one, it has, he signed it, he filled it out, and it says, this applicant does not meet any of the exemptions listed above. I mean, is that him saying that and signing that, and then why
I'm
would?
not familiar, sorry, Mr. Mixon. I'm not familiar with that
You
form.
guys see
I don't
this
have a
on your
copy of
screen?
that.
I do. It's the Form 458B that is filled out and signed by Mr. Roberts in that box that is supposed to be checked by a...
I did see that that was attached to today's agenda item. My understanding is that that particular form is only if they're applying for a disability exemption for homestead. That's not necessarily applicable if he was applying for one based on age or veteran status. But because we didn't have the actual application, we don't know what he was applying for. All we know is that he did not qualify for a disability homestead exemption.
Well, yeah, okay. And then it says the applicant has not applied for services with DHHS. This was all 4/1 of 24, I'm assuming. So that must have been the first thing he applied for, and he doesn't, okay, now I'm assuming, just based on this, that obviously he doesn't qualify for any of that, and then he's going back for the different, just a regular homestead exemption, and just didn't give us the information.
It's possible, but where there's just not enough information to know.
Okay.
Do we know, did he apply in past years?
I do not know that. I do not.
I'm just wondering if he applied in the past and it was approved, if he's dealing with a health issue or something that's preventing this. I realize it's ultimately on him to get the forms
Right.
to us, but it'd be nice to know the history just to see if maybe there's a little something else that we could do to try to get a hold of him.
Right. Yeah,
If he's dealing with some other circumstances.
Exactly. We do follow up and do our due diligence, honestly, when we get forms that are not filled out correctly or missing forms. Yeah, we'll wait, on those, but we just didn't get any response, so.
Is there a deadline for the submission of this exemption?
July 1st was the deadline, and then we send out the rejection letter, and then they can come before the board at that point.
So we haven't had any contact with them after this was rejected then?
Not to my knowledge, sir, no.
Okay, so I mean, attempts were made, but no contact.
Exactly.
Okay, I'm gonna ask this question again. And how many exemptions do we deal with? I mean, I know the state reimburses us, but how many homestead exemptions exist in Sarpy County?
I can't tell you the number yet this year. I think last year we had a total of about, I'm thinking close to 4,000.
4,000,
Yeah.
okay. All right.
Commissioner Klug, if I may, looking at the property record page, it does not appear that a homestead exemption has been applied in the past.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I'll make a motion to reject the homestead exemption.
Motion to reject the homestead exemption made by Commissioner Kelly,
Second.
second by Commissioner Klug. Any discussion? Please vote.
Ayes 5, nays none, motion carries.
All agenda items having been addressed as published, the Board of Equalization is adjourned and will reset for the Board of Commissioners.
Okay.
Welcome to the Sarpy County Board of Commissioners meeting. Today is Tuesday, August 13, 2024. It's 3:11 p.m. We have present today Commissioners Kelly, Klug, Warren, Mixon, and Burmeister, along with our County Administrator Bonnie Moore and our County Clerk Deb Hotelling. Item number 3 is public comments. I don't believe we have anybody here for public comments. If we do, please stand. Seeing none, we'll move on to Commissioner Administrator announcements and comments, starting with Commissioner Kelly.
No comment.
No comment, thank you.
No comment.
No comment, thank you.
Commissioner Warren and I were down at the legislature today to talk to our senators a little bit about the pending legislation on property tax relief. I think the important thing to note is that I think there are some misconceptions about what's going on in the county and the county's budget, and it's important that we give our senators the correct information there because it is a lot of details, and I think sometimes those details get lost in the mix of communications, particularly on something as complicated as the way that the tax structure is in Nebraska. So we're trying our best to communicate the true things in our budget. This board works very hard to be fiscally conservative and to keep things in check, and to be mindful of spending the property tax dollars, as all of our elected officials know, because we're very careful about how we manage that budget. And I think some of that message is being lost at this time, so I just wanted to point out that we're working hard. This would be the 3rd time that we've lowered the levy in recent years. We've never raised it, so I think we're working hard to do the best that we can there. And I hope they take that into account. We'll move on to the consent commissioner's agenda. Would anyone like to see any items removed from the consent agenda, or if not, a motion to approve?
Can I add one comment to what you said? And the comment would be, because everybody looks at the county on the taxes because you make the payment to the treasurer, and all the money coming in, it's not all for the county. The county, Sarpy County, has been between 12 and 13.5 cents for years of that, of your $1 of taxes. So I'll just give you an example. you know, the real cut that needs to be made, and obviously the biggest portion, I'm not gonna say cut, the biggest portion goes to schools. So the county, if we said, okay, we just won't do anything as a county, zero, no taxes, we don't provide any services. On a $300,000 house, that would be $840. So you would save $840 and you would have absolutely no service from the county. And that would be sheriff, that would be all the public, all the judicial, everything that happens. And I would be out of a job, and that's okay. So I just want to make that point. We can cut taxes, but the portion that we cut is just such a sliver of the whole piece. So things have to be looked at in a little different manner, but the county government is not spending your money foolishly. We know we're not perfect, but we're really trying to make that investment in the county with the expense of the money that we do expend for all the services.
Item number 5 is the consent agenda. Would anyone like to see any items removed, or if not, a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Warren, second by Commissioner Klug. Any discussion? Please vote.
Ayes 5, nays none, motion carries.
Item number 6.1 is public hearing and resolution 2024-215, Sarpy County 1 and 6 year road program fiscal year 2025 to 2030. Scott Bovick, Deputy Administrator.
Thank you, Commissioners. As you know, every year, each city and county across the state has to hold a public hearing before they adopt their 1 and 6 year road program. And so today is the public hearing. And of course, I'm on the wrong slide here. Hold on one second. Okay, here we go. Anyway, so the 1 and 6 year road program, you're very familiar with this. Just gonna go through a brief presentation talking about the amount of financing that we've allocated for the program, along with some key projects, and then just thank the team that has been working on the road projects for years and will work to deliver this program for the board. At the retreat earlier this year, we talked about financing options and how we, fund the 1 and 6 year road program. And one of the things that the board decided to do was to provide us direction to go ahead and pursue an additional bond issue, likely sometime in the year 2026. Of the amount of about $150 million. If we do that, coupled with the annual revenue that we receive, the pay-as-you-go revenue, that gives the board about $265 million over the next 6 years for a program. And we've talked before about the timing and the sizing of that bond. That'll come as we continue to build the program, build the cash flow, and build the timing that we need to access those funds. So looking at some of the key projects, this isn't all the projects, but the top priority project is the Platteview Road Expressway, Southern Sarpy Expressway, Southern Beltway. And so we've allocated $110 million for that. We'll talk on the next agenda item about an agreement with HDR to start really carrying that process of building something forward. That amount also includes any interim work that needs to be done. We know that's a changing corridor. We know intersections along that corridor need to change. So that provides us sufficient revenue to do the signature First Expressway project, but also interim improvements. 168th Street's been a priority for the board for a long time. We've identified going to federal funding to get that project. 156th Street in Schramm, 225th, 222nd, some rural road network that needs to be done, 66th and Giles Road connection, and then ongoing maintenance and repair. And so just walking through a few of these quickly, and we do have this in the PowerPoint on the website, so if the public wants to view it, they can see these projects in a little more detail. Again, the expressway, which we'll talk more about on the next agenda item. 168th Street, we also received a commitment from MAPPA in 2031, about $27 million to fund that project. We do want to pursue replacing the bridge, the railroad bridge. That is a $12 million expenditure, needs to be done now. We'll build the ultimate 4-lane bridge as part of that project. 156th Street, Shram to Capehart. This is an area that is the initial basin of the Sarpy Sewer Agency. You can see on this map, not very well, but you can see all the partners, commercial, industrial developments that have occurred out there. Those are entities that contribute towards the road network. And so this project is actually out to selection of an engineering firm to assist us, the city of Papillion, the city of Springfield, and likely the city of Gretna too, as their boundaries 168th and Shram. $26 million project will just really open up this entire area for future development. 225th, 222nd Street, Harrison to Lincoln, approximately $15 million program for this. This is just a rural area that continues to see growth and amenities, high school site, Lost Row Golf Course, Gretna Soccer Club, additional residential development. We're currently working to prepare a right-sized, phased approach to addressing this area and getting ultimate pavement to them, reduce the maintenance costs, and also deal with the traffic and impacts in that area. 66th Street and Giles Road, this is in the program to make the connection to expand Giles to 3 lanes and build a bridge, a new bridge up by the La Vista Sports Complex. I think we're at 30 to 60% design on this one, but a key project for the county, the city of La Vista, city of Papillion, and provide north-south connectivity. 66th Street would connect Harrison Street to Cornhusker to 370, and that's an important corridor to balance out the amount of traffic on 72nd Street. Another thing that's important that maybe the public doesn't see is just making sure that we're allocating sufficient funds for ongoing road maintenance. And this is an annual amount, about $1.5 million a year for bridge replacement. Probably 1 to 2 bridges a year we can replace. And as the board knows, we have a priority ranking of the bridges that need addressed, and we just continue to work with the county engineer's office and partners trying to get those high priority bridges addressed. Concrete panel replacement, we repair concrete panels throughout the county on roads that are needed. Asphalt overlay, $1.5 million probably gets 2 to 3 miles a year of overlay of our asphalt roads. Arterial streets, this board knows developments come in, they pop up and they come to you and they want partnerships. We're allocating $3 million a year, so we have money set aside to be able to do that and react if developments come in. And then we do carry a $1.5 million construction contingency just to buffer in case pricing isn't good. If emergency things come up, we have sufficient funds where we can green light that and go. So $8 million a year over the course of a 6-year program, $48 million, and that's a really important piece of the overall road program. And then again, it takes a team, so I know you see me up here a lot, but there's a ton of folks and a lot of partners that are part of making sure that we're getting road projects and getting the road program put in place. And so always want to have a slide to recognize all those participants. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions you might have about the 1 and 6-year road program.
Questions for Scott?
I have one question. So will any of those road projects you mentioned on that first slide be impacted if we reduce our levy?
Impacted by what? Sorry, Commissioner.
If we reduce our levy this year?
I don't think so. I don't think they'll be impacted. We have this programmed. It's a certain amount of money over the next several years, so a reduction in levy would not have a dramatic impact on any of these projects. I don't think you'd have to cut anything out of the 1 and 6-year road program to do that. Other places in the budget you might need to look at.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Other questions for Scott?
Is this a hearing?
A public hearing.
Yeah. So, but Scott, if we had to cut our levy significantly, either this year or next year, would that affect our ability to do the projects?
You know, it might. I mean, if you have to do a significant cut, you know, when you're cutting the budget, it's always a challenge to cut people. So typically what most entities do, they go look at projects, you know, or things. And so I think in that respect, it'd be hard to look away from the road budget. You probably would have to, you know, take a look. If you're doing a significant cut, a minimal cut, I don't know that that would be necessary. Now, the legislature, who knows what they do if they cap growth or cap something, we would need to evaluate that. But typically, historically, bonds and capital investments have been outside of those caps. So hopefully when this legislation, if it does go through, those exceptions are there as well.
Would the events in Lincoln, are they challenging any of the money that the state provides back to us for roads?
No, I don't think
It's coming
so.
from the gas tax.
Yeah, so
fund.
you know, highway allocation revenue is our primary source, and I don't think there's been any conversation about adjusting that. You know, one of the projects that we'll talk about later, we got County Bridge Match Program funds for. You just approved on the consent agenda, Denny filed the certification that on the road and bridge buyback. Those are good programs that we receive. And then the other funding sources that we get are partnerships from, you know, locals to do that. So I don't think any of those are on the table down there in Lincoln, but that's really what we base our road program off of.
This is a public hearing. Would anyone like to be heard on this item on the agenda? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Any other questions or comments from commissioners?
Motion approved.
Second.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Kelly, second by Commissioner Klug. Any discussion? Please vote.
Commissioner, okay. Ayes 5, nays none, motion carries.
Item 6.2 is Resolution 2024-232, task order with HDR for engineering services for the Southern Sarpy Expressway, Project 1, final design, US Highway 75 to west of 42nd Street, west segment to 42nd Street to Highway 50 in the amount of $6,867,922. Scott Bovick, Deputy Administrator.
Thank you, Commissioner. So Plaffey Road Expressway, Southern Sarpy Expressway, Southern Omaha Metro Beltway. And I think now that we've got to the point where we're you know, going to build this first segment of it, I think we should start thinking about how we identify this, you know, long term as we build the first segment and we continue to go work with our partners at the state and locals and the feds for additional funding to see this project through. But I'm excited to be here today to engage HDR with the design of the first segment and then the continued work on the rest of the corridor. Under this agreement with HDR, this will be to get to final design and bid and get under construction the segment from Highway 75 or 10th Street in Bellevue to 42nd Street. And that's projected to be a $75 to $100 million project. We'll know more as we get into the final design, but a significant project there. The other piece of the agreement is what we've called the west segment. This is 42nd Street to Highway 50. It's for 60% design. Once you get to 60% design, you know your corridor, you can start right-of-way activities, you can protect the corridor, can start talking seriously to partners about funding opportunities, but we're gonna locally fund the design effort to position ourselves for future dollars so we can control and just define that corridor. And then equally as important is to continue progress. It seems like a long ways away in terms of when growth will occur, but the portion from Highway 50 to Highway 31 or Interstate 80, I would say, we need to get continued conceptual design, continue to protect that corridor to make sure that we're doing our job locally to protect a beltway so we can preserve that for you know, the state or the federal government to come and help us actually build out that entire beltway. So just talking through, this map shows the conceptual design of the first segment. And on the east, this is 10th Street. And the project will build the portion, again, from 10th Street to 42nd Street. It'll be a 4-lane expressway. It'll be what we kind of call an urban expressway. There'll be a concrete median in the middle. It won't be a separated grass median like 370 is. 4-lane, no access to the expressway. There'll be an interchange between 27th and 36th Street. We're going to be building frontage roads there. We've worked a lot with the City of Bellevue and with our planners to make sure that those frontage roads accommodate and serve and allow for economic development. That's important to us along this corridor. Looking at the corridor, I think HDR has identified maybe 15 property owners that would be impacted. That's kind of a surprisingly small amount of properties, but the impacts are fairly significant. You can see how we're crossing properties, but they'll continue to work with those property owners to make sure that we can get what we need, but also make sure their property's available for redevelopment. The nice thing about going off alignment, it's a strategy that we've talked about early on, is the constructability of this project. Platteview Road will continue to exist as a thoroughfare. We can go off alignment and do construction without negatively impacting or shutting down that area for a long period of time. Great strategy, I think. So looking at that, going to schedule, probably looking at 1.5 years of design, permitting, right-of-way activities, and that would get us ready to get out to bid in the spring of 2026, with construction in summer of 26 and construction ending at the end of the year 2028. In the meantime, the west segment will be under design, and we plan to reach 60% design of that by spring of 2026. So, and then obviously the conceptual work that needs to be, and corridor protection that needs to be done from Highway 50 to Highway 31 or I-80 will proceed concurrently as well. This is the breakdown in the contract of HDR's engineering fee. I know you've seen that. I think it's very reasonable. I think when we went through a selection process years ago to pick our team, HDR was the firm that we believed had the depth and the team and expertise necessary to be our partner on this large effort. And again, by going with a larger project, there's efficiency in those engineering fees, and we're seeing that in the proposal they've provided. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions. Denny Wilson, County Engineers here. Zach Hergenrader has been very involved in this project. Craig Hunter and Chris Mulmer from HDR are also here. So happy to answer any questions.
Scott, I think you've already mentioned it, but I'm looking at this as being a $6.8 million investment, obviously in the future for Sarpy County. But with that and what we're going to get out of this, that puts us in a position for federal or for any other money that might be coming up later that would help to any funding for this project.
Project 1 will be 100% locally funded. Project 2, or west segment, at this point, we're planning to locally fund that. We're going to make sure that we don't do anything that would jeopardize any future federal funding opportunities, but we're not going through that full federal process. We don't think we can wait that long, but we will continue to make sure that we have our eyes on state funding opportunities. We've talked about the reauthorization of the Build Nebraska Act. I think that's a mechanism that the state should look at and go, being a partner with Sarpy County makes a ton of sense. You don't have to do the full environmental on that. So I think west segment, not federalized, but in a position where if we needed to go and federalize it, we could. I think, we're just always concerned about how long that takes and how many hoops you have to jump through to get there. So that's the strategy at this point.
And I don't know if there's any other strategy. Again, I always remember, it's in my head that when you get to that 60% threshold, then you have something that you have an opportunity to get additional dollars, whether they're federal, state, wherever. But even if the federal government would come up with not so much doing the whole roadway as you're talking about, but there might be money for pieces or sections or some component of the whole thing. That's,
Yeah, when you get to 60%, it's a real project. You know where it's going. You know the right-of-way impacts. You know the costs. So there's maybe some segmentation that can be done, some phasing. Getting federal help to do the Highway 50 and the Southern Sarpy Expressway interchange. I mean, that's going to be a big expense. That might be something we break out and pursue, for federal dollars. Since this is such a large effort and we wanted to move quickly, remember 168th Street, we've said, okay, we've got time on that one. That can be a federalized process. We're working with the city of Omaha and Douglas County on Harrison Street, from 156 to Highway 31. That can be federalized. We know it needs to be 5 lanes someday, but here with Platteview Road, for sure the Project 1 and maybe the west segment, we just got to do it, and it's unfortunate that the county has to be on our own doing that, but I think it's on us to get it started, show the community what we're doing. That makes our discussion or presentation or need statement with those other funding partners a little easier for them to understand.
okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Scott or?
Commissioner, just a couple of comments from me, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Just want to thank Scott, Denny Wilson and his team, and the folks from HDR. I know this is a long time coming, and I didn't hit my unmute button fast enough earlier when you were talking about potential impacts of a cap or lids on counties. I just want to clarify, if there was a lid or a cap that significantly reduced the county's ability to fund projects like this, it would mean the county would have some tough choices to make about which projects move forward. So from my perspective, there is some concern about what happens in the legislature. I just want to make sure that's what you're conveying earlier, and that if there was a lid or a cap, that we might not be able to do some of these projects that are in the 1 and 6.
Yeah, I think so.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Scott or for Denny and his office or for HDR?
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Warren, second by Commissioner Kelly. Any discussion?
Just a couple of comments, if you don't mind, since this is kind of a big deal for me in particular. I remember back in 2012 when I decided to run for office and being the second longest serving commissioner on this board, the current board. I went to the longest serving commissioner on the current board and asked for his help about, getting elected as a commissioner and what was important in Sarpy County. And, he keyed me in on some things that sort of led to this whole emphasis I've had on Platteview Road for the last decade plus. Commissioner Warren told me, hope you get elected, but if you do, just remember that improving the quality of life of our citizens is job one, and protecting our rural roots, planning for urban growth and protecting the environment are key essentials of that. And when you package that all together, the more you look at it, it just tells you that the foundation of a plan that incorporates all those things is a thoughtful development of Platteview Road, from Highway 75 to the east to Interstate 80 to the west. So from day one, I believe that Platteview Road is the key to economic development in the southern half of this county, and I've been pushing for it along with the rest of this board ever since. It's a slow start. From 2012, nothing happened for till 2015, and we finally got a public study together, and I don't know if some of you may remember it, even if you weren't on the board. But we had this big study, and we really laid out the whole corridor, and we got public input, and it was a great project. It had a grand vision, But the outcome was good too, because it actually helped us look at Platteview Road as a future east-west corridor and what that meant. Helped us analyze the transportation patterns and the land use and optimizing that along the route, what would be best for the citizens of Sarpy County. So we came out of that 2015 meeting with a great vision, for a prosperous future and a grand expressway. And, from the get-go, we've never talked about anything but an expressway. And there's been people that have tried, as they might, to downsize our vision to something more manageable, to a 3-lane road or a 2-lane road with shoulders. But it never made sense to me. If you lay down a map of the metropolitan area, it's a natural southern bypass. And I think, so you got to think big, you got to, no risk, no reward. So expressway. Some people call it a freeway. To me, they're the same thing. But that meant, above grade overpasses, on-ramps, off-ramps, a decent speed limit so that you could traverse the county east-west in a quick manner, because all you have to do today is drive down our major east-west corridor, which is Highway 370, and that's not what we wanted. We don't want a stoplight every 6 blocks, and we want to keep Sarpy County a 20-minute commute. So it was a good thing to do, but we had a great plan. We unfortunately didn't have the resources to take any action. And that's been the real constraint on this project from day one. It's easy to dream big, but to find the resources to put it into action is really, really tough. So we did what we could as a board. I think over the last decade, we've put a lot of money into Platteview Road and into the corridor. I would say we've worked with the cities of Bellevue, Springfield, and Gretna in particular. We've worked with our senators. We've worked with, governors, 2 of them now. We've worked with the Nebraska Department of Transportation and given them windshield tours, and the governor, for that matter, of Platteview Road and why we think it's so important. And we've worked with the county engineer's office to marshal support, for a long-range plan that would allow us to actually get to this day. It was really all those actions that are the genesis of what we're going to culminate with today with the approval of this resolution. So it's a big deal, and I'm just sad it took so long. But I get it. We all get it. But, there's always competing requirements, especially in the fastest growing county in the state, that always seem to pop up on the horizon. But now we're here, we're on the precipice. And so this is really, really, really exciting to me that we're finally gonna make this leap. And I will just say this, and it may not be 100% factual, but it is in my mind, so that makes it the truth. Okay? This project, Platteview Road Expressway, combined with the Sarpy Sewer and Sarpy County and City's wastewater project, is hands down the most important economic development project in this state. So it's my hope that since we're taking the initiative to kick this off with local funds, we're going to show people that we're serious about this. And I think it's going to help us build momentum to bring the Nebraska Department of Transportation and the governors and the legislature on board, because guess what? $15.7 billion of economic impact can flow back to Lincoln because of the growth and economic development that will occur along this corridor. So I want to thank HDR. They're a national company, but they're just local guys like us. And so they have a vested interest in making sure that we do this right, because they live and they play and they work here in Sarpy County. So it's going to be great, and I'm looking forward to working with HDR on this. But probably most importantly, and of course, Denny, I appreciate all the cooperation and support that the county engineer's office gives us. You guys are really the brain trust that allow us, to weave through all the constraints that we're going to face with, federal regulations and state regulations and environmental regulations. So appreciate that. But I got to thank you, Scott. We wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for your leadership. There is no doubt in my mind that is 100% factual. And I will tell you, I've been browbeating you for 11 years to get this done. and it's not just me. I know the rest of the board has vented a lot of frustration over the years at you, even though it's not your fault. You were the point person that we vented a lot of frustration because we hadn't made progress. So thanks for everything you've done, and this is a pretty significant vote. I think we've had a lot of significant votes, and that just comes with the territory of being the fastest growing county in the state. But this one's definitely at the top for me, and I think it is for most of the board because it's a game changer. It's going to change the landscape of Sarpy County forever, and I think it's going to change it for the better. And improve the quality of life of our citizens, bring more amenities, broaden the tax base, and do all the things that you want a community to do for you. And that's why you choose to live here. So thanks again, Scott.
Any further discussion? Please vote.
Ayes 5, nays none, motion carries.
Item 6.3 is Resolution 2024-217, award the low bid for the Buffalo Road over Springfield Creek Bridge Replacement and Roadway Realignment, Project C-7723-04, to JJK Construction LLC in the amount of $1,931,889.14. Scott Bovick, Deputy Administrator.
Thank you. As I mentioned earlier, we do try to address, every year a bridge or two that has been identified as a priority for replacement. These two bridges located on Buffalo Road, when we did our priority ranking, I think we're number 4 and number 7. And we've been working on this for a few years, but what we've come up with is with the work of the county engineer's office, the property owners in the area, and HGM, the engineering firm who helped us. 2 dilapidated bridges. We looked at that and said, do we really need to remove 2 and replace 2? And so we came up with an innovative approach where we will remove 2, but we only replace 1. And so the southern bridge here that will be removed and eliminated. So we won't need to build a new structure at $1 million or maintain a structure long-term. Instead, we'll build 1 new bridge up here along Buffalo Road, and the blue line represents a new aligned road to connect to Highway 50, which will carry more traffic because this will be cul-de-saced here. All this traffic will come here, but that's actually a safer intersection for visibility for folks that are trying to get on the interstate. And HGM and the county engineer's office have worked with NDOT to get that access approved. So a great project. Again, I mentioned earlier, the state gave us $200,000 of County Bridge Match Program funds for this project. Those funds are helpful to do some gap financing to get this project going. And then once again, we're in a favorable bidding climate. We got 8 bids on this project. The low bidder, JJK Construction, was right at 1.9. The highest bid was 2.2, so 8 bids right within a margin of each other. The engineer's estimate was $2.4 million, and I know over the years as we've worked with this project, it's been up as close to $3 or $3.5 million on that. So anyway, that's the bid. They will start actually this year, and this is good winter work for contractors to do, so likely have this all completed by spring of 2025. And again, funds for this are in the 1 and 6 year road program. Happy to answer any questions. Yeah.
Questions for Scott?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Warren, second by Commissioner Klug. Any discussion?
Yep, one question. When will the new road go in?
The new road will go in as part of the project. I I think the property owner doesn't have their crops in there anymore, so it'll go in right when we do the bridge construction, the grading and the,
And then what are we doing with the bicycle path there or whatever?
I think we're just doing an at-grade crossing similar to the one that's down
Yeah, down
along
below
Buffalo
on
Road. I think they do
Buffalo,
some warning signs and stuff there, but it'll just be an at-grade crossing.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Any other questions? Please vote.
Ayes 5, nays none, motion carries.
Item 6.4 is Resolution 2024-219, Supplement Number 2 with HGM Associates for Construction Administration Services for the Buffalo Road Bridge Replacement and Roadway Realignment Project, C-7723-04, in the amount of $302,779. Scott Bovick, Deputy Administrator.
And this is just to engage HGM, who helped us with the design and innovative approach on this project. They will do the construction administration on there. I think they've, with Denny's team, built a good working relationship with some of the neighbors in the area that'll be impacted. And this is just to engage them on a not-to-exceed construction management contract.
Questions for Scott?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Klug,
Second.
second by Commissioner Warren. Any discussion?
Wait, yep, Scott, I'm gonna go back to, is the new road gonna be concrete or is it gonna be gravel?
Rock, yeah, yep, not paving it.
Yep, thank you.
Any other questions? Please vote.
Ayes 5, nays none, motion carried.
Item 6.5 is Resolution 2024-227, Settlement Agreement and Release with Nichiha USA. Close enough, probably. Kayla Starbuck, Deputy County Attorney.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. The resolution before you today is the approval of a settlement agreement for an ongoing warranty claim with Nichiha USA. They are the manufacturer of the external paneling that's on the Sheriff's Office. This paneling went on the Sheriff's Office in the original build, which was completed in 2011 and was covered by a 15-year warranty period. The facilities management submitted a warranty claim to the company about 2 years ago. We've been in ongoing negotiations with them since then. It was referred to our office last summer. The agreement that you have before you today is for 64 packs of the gray panels, which is about half of the paneling that will be needed to completely redo the outside of the Sheriff's Office. $4,000 to cover additional supplies and the finish on the orange panels. And Exhibit A, which is attached to the agreement, covers all the necessary installment accessories. Also included is a 25% discount on the remaining orange panels, which will be needed to finish the outside of the Sheriff's Office. Since 2011, the manufacturer has made updates to the product, and it is the intention that the replacement product will be used to completely redo the outside of the Sheriff's Office for the paneling. Purchasing Facilities and Administration has reviewed the settlement agreement, and it is in the best interest of the county to approve the settlement agreement. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Questions for Kayla?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Warren, second by Commissioner Klug. Any discussion? Please vote.
Ayes 5, nays none, motion carries.
Item 6.6 is Resolution 2024-223, Contract Renewal for Outdoor Advertising for the Sarpy County Tourism I-80 Billboard with service dates from September 23rd, 2024 to September 21st, 2025, in the amount of $10,205. Fred Huey, Tourism Director.
Good afternoon. It's been a while since I've had the pleasure of appearing before you guys, so thanks for the opportunity. So, yeah, this is a renewal for one of our billboards. It's on eastbound I-80, approximately Gibbon, Nebraska. When I first took over tourism, we had a billboard near Greenwood, Nebraska, which I felt was too close to the metro area. So this billboard is just one component in our kind of brand awareness in greater Nebraska. The traffic count from the Nebraska Department of Transportation is about 340,000 vehicles pass that sign every day. So for, or not every day, for a 28-day period. And the cost per impression is less than 2/10 of a cent. So I would appreciate the renewal. And if you have any questions, I'd be more than welcome to answer them.
Questions for Fred?
Is there any data, Fred, that that you can look at that tells you that it's having an impact on visitors to the county?
That's one of the toughest things that marketers face. So we are exploring some options. Basically, in the marketing world, you may have brand awareness advertising or call to action. The call to action will usually maybe a coupon, call an 800 number, scan a QR code, something to give you real solid data on why people are taking that action. But you think of the number of advertising images we get all exposed to daily, Hy-Vee, Nebraska Furniture Mart, et cetera. You may see an NFM ad and you may not rush out and buy that computer, but it's in the back of your mind. So, but we are exploring options. I've got a call into the University of Nebraska at Lincoln, their hospitality department. I'm meeting tomorrow with Bellevue University, and we've actually reached out to a couple larger marketing agencies in the city to see if there's any way, even some of the digital advertising we've done on some videos where we can tell how many people have completed the video, but again, it's tough for us to tell that interest in being aware of Sarpy County generates the room. But 2016, Linda Revis's last year versus 2023 in calendar year, we have seen a 45% increase in lodging receipts.
So we have this sign on I-80 coming east. You don't see it going west, obviously, because you're going away.
I want to get them, catch them this way.
And so coming east, and then we have one down in Missouri at Mound City coming north.
Correct.
Right? Do we have any coming south on I-29?
I have not found a suitable, reasonable location on either southbound I-29 or westbound I-80, saying coming from Des Moines into the metro area.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Are you looking?
I'm always looking. Okay. But again, it's got to be reasonable, and some of these billboards can be pretty pricey.
All right. Thank you, Fred.
So.
Any other questions for Fred?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Klug.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Kelly. Any discussion? Please vote.
Oh, I do one alibi. How often does your tourism committee meet?
We meet every other month currently.
Okay.
Back in the old days, it was monthly, and of course, they were suspended during COVID, and since we've reassembled them, it's, we've, personally, I felt meeting for the sake of meeting wasn't really a good idea, but currently we're meeting on the last Wednesday of the odd months of the year. So our next meeting will be the last Wednesday in September.
Okay, and then not related to the billboard, but what's your next big push here for marketing?
We are, coming into the fall, we will be rolling out kind of the Halloween capital of the Midwest, the Velas, Scary Acres, Bellevue Berry, Haunted Hollow. We've got a lot of activities. We've done some recent stuff on back to school shopping with Nebraska Crossing and Shadow Lake. Getting a lot of comments and questions about the Lego store that's due to open in September out at Nebraska Crossing. So okay. We will target Lego fans as much as we can.
Thank you.
So.
Ayes 5, nays none, motion carries.
All agenda items having been addressed as published, the Board of Commissioners is adjourned.